Representative Cori Bush is busted, hired her husband and paid him some nice money to provide security to her and her team. But now DOJ has some questions about that money, wondering where it came from, what account did it come from, what was it being spent for? Allegations are that she was spending a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars, on her personal security. And this was after Cori Bush told us that we all needed to suck it up, America. You don't need police to protect you. Okay, if your car gets stolen, who cares? We're all peasants. We're not Congress people. Congress people have important things to do in Congress, like sit around and talk to each other. But we're going to unpack this because she came out and issued a press release that is admitting to a lot of this, saying, I hired my husband. He is perfectly qualified. He was my security guard anyways. He knows what he's doing. And so nothing is afoot in this case. We got reaction from the White House, reaction from the Democrats. But let's get into the background on this because this has been a long time coming. I wanted to share this clip with you. You may have seen it when it came out. So take a look at this. CBS News 2 years ago. This is Cori Bush. And we'll just play a minute or two of this because she gets asked by these news people, you know, hey, Cori, it's defund the police. We have all of this effort by the Democrats. We don't need cops anymore, you know, because they're all racist, George Floyd, and all the BLM stuff. But it was strange because she had security everywhere she went, you know, very, very protected because she's part of the elite and we're not. But the news said, what's the deal? Why the double standard? Here's what Cori said.
Well, let me ask you about something else aside from the moratorium. You faced some criticism in recent weeks over your push to defund the police. Campaign records show that you spent roughly $70,000 on private security, and some critics say that move is hypocritical. What's your response to those critics?
They would rather I die.
What?
You would rather me die? Is that what you want to see?
No, no one said that. No one said that at all. We're asking if you want us to die.
You want to see me die?
No.
You know, because that could be the alternative. So either I spent $70,000 on private security over the last few months, and I'm here standing and able to speak, able to help save 11 million people from being evicted, or I could possibly have a death attempt on my life. And we're also talking about the same exact people who say horrible things about me, who lie to build up their base. And then because they lie about me, I receive death threats. Now, they don't address the fact that I receive death threats after they go on air and say horrible things about me. But then they want to say, oh, but she needs private security. I have private security because my body is worth being on this planet right now. I have private security.
So are ours, though. That's the point. Like, we don't want to get shot or carjacked when we're walking to work or whatever.
Security because the white supremacist, racist narrative that they drive into this country, the fact that they don't care that this black woman that has put her life on the line, they can't match my energy, first of all. This black
That's true. We can't. She's on one right now. And what's so fun about this is the news is just letting her go. Like, they're not interrupting her. They just let her go. Listen.
Woman who puts her life on the line, they don't care that I could be taken out of here. They actually probably are okay with that. But this is the thing. I won't let them get that off. You can't get that off. I'm going to make sure I have security because I know I have had attempts on my life and I have too much work to do. There are too many people that need help right now for me to allow that. So if I end up spending $200,000, if I spend $10 more on it, you know what? I get to be here to do the work. So suck it up, and defunding the police has to happen. We need to defund the police and put that money into social safety nets because we're trying to save lives. What other occupation can do work that's out of their scope and still be propped up to do work that's out of their scope? As a nurse, I can't be the surgeon too.
So I don't know what she's talking about now, but suck it up, America. You don't need the cops because she's helping 11 million people avoid eviction and you can't match her energy anyways. And so she goes on here for like another several minutes. Like, they just let her go. They changed the screen. I think she goes on for like 8 minutes. It's kind of crazy. She just keeps going, man. Like 8 minutes of just, Cori. Here, a lot of people were interested in this exchange. Let's just listen a little bit more.
Body on the line, the way that I put my body on the line. And until you can do that, I suggest you take several seats.
Whoa!
Congresswoman, have you had
just nodding. Wow. Okay.
police officers threaten you?
Absolutely. I mean, I've been in this fight for 7 years. I'm a Ferguson activist. That has happened to us. It's not just me.
All right,
Ferguson
suck it up,
Frontline.
America. Suck it up, America. You don't need the cops. They're all racist anyways, so forget about that. Now, she did hire her security guard. Doesn't matter if it costs $10,000, $20,000, whatever the numbers are. She needs it because she's saving the country. But she did marry her security guard some time ago, which is curious because if you're going to be funneling a bunch of money to your husband, people have some questions about that. Obviously, it could raise some conflict of interest concerns, like, for example, is he actually providing security? No one knows. But this is the story. The Defund the Police backer, squad member Cori Bush, she married her security guard. This was updated last year, February, almost a year ago. Says in the story that squad member has gotten herself an extra layer of personal protection. She married a member of her security detail who was paid by her campaign. Now that's curious. Now, the lawyer in me is like, okay, well, is she marrying that to get marital privilege, spousal immunity? What's going on here? What's the sequence of this? Did she start grifting with him before they got married? Or did they get married and then start the grifting? Or was the grifting something that was already happening and then she married him to armor up a little bit? Let's just get married. Now, the anti-cop Bush, she got hitched to this guy called Courtney Merritt, a private ceremony. The chief of staff, Abbas Alawaish, he confirmed. So her staff. She said, with heartfelt congratulations, I'm happy to confirm that Congresswoman Bush married the love of her life, Cori Merritt, this month. They filed for a marriage license on February 11th, according to the records, and the couple tied the knot the following weekend. Here's a photograph of them. Cori Bush, the White House, 1600 Pennsylvania, she posted on Instagram, and she hearted out his face. Come on, mystery man, hiding it all. So then we learned that she first paid Merritt through her campaign for his security services in 2022 after the couple began their relationship. So they started dating, then he paid her, she paid him after. So here, Merritt is an Army veteran. He got $62,000 from the Bush campaign that year, according to the outlet, which cited campaign finance records. 62 grand. 2,300 was for cash reimbursements. But check this out, right? Now, we don't know what the scope of this DOJ inquiry is, but she spent nearly $500,000 in campaign funds for private security. So we have questions about campaign funds, federal funds, House funds during the election cycle. It's a lot. Now, the KSDK report said that the amount paid for security-related expenses is now up to $600,000, over 627. Now, Bush, a member of the squad, along with others, has cited death threats, says, I'm going to make sure I have security and you guys can suck it up. Merritt accompanied Bush to her swearing in back in 2021. The payments to Merritt are likely to draw scrutiny. Of course, yeah, the DOJ is looking into it. FEC is looking into it. While federal regulations ban the use of campaign funds for personal use, some leeway is made for members of Congress to pay family members for performing a bona fide service. Campaign funds are not to be used to enhance a member's lifestyle or to pay a personal member's obligations, the health ethics rules say. We have this. Members have wide discretion in determining what constitutes a bona fide campaign or political purpose to which campaign funds may be used, but they have no discretion whatsoever to convert campaign funds to personal use, right? Cannot do that. Big no-no. Now, he's a veteran of the U.S. Army and a security professional. He has been, this is what Cori Bush's office said. Mr. Merritt is a veteran of the U.S. Army and a security professional. He has been Cori Bush's partner since before her congressional tenure and is not employed by her congressional office. Okay, so the campaign employs this guy, not the Congress office. Our team has come to know and appreciate him as a caring congressional spouse. All right, so that's the background on that guy. Now, we also learned that he apparently didn't have a security license, even though he was doing security for a congresswoman, but who cares about that? Apparently, that 60 grand that he got came without the required licenses. And so this is another article from the New York Post. They tell us that despite being paid 60 grand last year, he does not even have a private security license, man. She secretly married him and she's been paying him $5,000 a month in 2022 to provide, quote, security services. So that's 60 grand right there. But according to Fox Digital, Merritt raked in the payday without even holding a private security license. And that's required in St. Louis by the Metro Police Department. New York Post actually dug into it. They filed a public records request seeking information on the status of his security license. After we learned that he had tied the knot with her, a Sunshine Law administrator informed them that there was no response records, meaning he lacks a current license. Oops. Asked whether Merritt ever had a private security license, the administrator said the last security license issued to him expired in 2012. So he knows he needs to get one, and it expired. The record search takes in both the city and the county, which cover Burt Bush's congressional district. The website states all persons performing a security function must be licensed to do this, but he didn't. Applicants can receive licenses to be a watchman, courier, security officer, and they may be granted other powers as well. They say that Merritt also does not appear in a database of licensed security professionals either. And in addition to getting bi-weekly $2,500 checks from Cori Bush for Congress, Merritt was also reimbursed reimbursed $2,300 for gas and travel expenses. Here are these two. So she's just paying her husband. Now, over the same period of time, Cori Bush for Congress also said that Peace Security, which is a St. Louis company, man, 225 grand, according to FEC records. Now, while federal regulations ban the use of campaign funds for personal use and House ethics rules also bar money that's used to enhance a lifestyle, there is some leeway for members of a family. Okay, so maybe that's why they got married. There is some leeway is made for members of Congress to pay family members for performing a bona fide service. That's why, right? So they get married. He's like, no, he's family. He's not my boyfriend. We're married. Bush's office said in a statement that we love him. He's a caring congressional spouse. Got it. So they got married so that they could fall within those ethical rules, would be my opinion on that. Yeah, just get married. And then you guys don't have to testify against each other. So, all right, that's what's going on there. And these two, lovebirds, I'm sure he's traveling around protecting her. I don't know if they went on cruises with Nathan and Fanny, but maybe, where's that $2,500? What's that going for? He's just kind of hanging out. He's saying, here, they're having lunch together. And he says, hey, sweetheart, let me taste test your food for you. It's not poison. You're okay. $2,500, please. All right. So now I suspect this is happening all over Washington, honestly. Even though the DOJ has indicted Cori Bush, I don't think it sort of, exonerates the DOJ. I always have questions about the DOJ. Why are they deciding to prosecute Cori Bush now? Why do they decide to prosecute some people but not others? There are double standards all over the place. I mean, Joe Biden used Hunter as his extension for decades, but he didn't get indicted for anything there. He's not under investigation. In fact, they covered all of that up. So it's all within the family, right? They all push this stuff to their families. But why Cori Bush right now? Why is Joe Biden covered up for his shenanigans with his entire family? I don't know. Probably because one of them is useful, the other is not. But that's the background on Cori Bush. She came out and made an announcement admitting to all of this. Before that happened, we saw that the House admitted that the DOJ came and asked for their records and that they actually provided them. Here was the post and the update from the House of Representatives.
The Honorable, the Speaker, House of Representatives, sir. This is to notify you formally, pursuant to Rule 8 of the Rules of the House of Representatives, that the office of the Sergeant at Arms for the House of Representatives has been served with a grand jury subpoena for documents issued by the U.S. Department of Justice. After consulting with the Office of General Counsel, I have determined that compliance with the subpoena is consistent with the rights and privileges of the House. Signed sincerely, William P. McFarland, Sergeant at Arms of the House of Representatives.
All right, so the DOJ got some of those records. Don't know what's inside of those, but there were rumors that this was Cori Bush, that this was her. She came out today to confirm that. And here's what that statement sounded like from the Congresswoman.
And my position to the highest levels of integrity. I also believe in transparency, which is why I can confirm that the Department of Justice is reviewing my campaign spending on security services. We are fully cooperating with this investigation, and I would like to take this opportunity to outline the fact and the truth. Since before I was sworn into office, I have endured relentless threats to my physical safety and life. As a rank and file member of Congress, I am not entitled to personal protection by the House, and instead have used campaign funds as permissible to retain security services. I have not used any federal tax dollars for personal security services. Any reporting that I have used funds for personal security is simply false. In recent months, right-wing organizations have lodged baseless complaints against me, peddling notions that I have misused campaign funds to pay for personal security services. That simply is not true.
It's the Biden DOJ, and I haven't heard a lot of this from the right. Most of this is about the left. I mean, Dan Goldman was still in Congress today screaming about Representative Santos. It's like, he's not in Congress anymore, weirdos. The Democrats largely excuse this stuff. Santos is gone. Menendez is still in the Senate with his gold bars from Egypt.
I have complied with all applicable laws and House rules and will continue to prioritize the rules that govern us as federal elected officials. In particular, the nature of these allegations have been around my husband's role on the campaign. In accordance with all applicable rules, I retained my husband as part of my security team to provide security services because he has had extensive experience in this area. And
okay, I don't know if you heard that, but a bunch of people in the background are laughing at that. As soon as she says that, you hear this guy over back here. He's like, oh my gosh, are you serious? Nope. It was news to me that she's funneling $60 50 grand to her husband. You know, it's like, okay, are you serious? That's what this is all about? You hired your husband.
Is able to provide the necessary services at or below fair market rate. These frivolous complaints have resulted in a number of investigations, some of which are still ongoing.
They're from Biden,
the Federal
not from
Election
the
Commission
Republicans.
and the House Committee on Ethics are currently reviewing the matter, as is the Department of Justice. We are fully cooperating in all these pending investigations. In September of last year, 2023, after conducting a months-long investigation, the Office of Congressional Ethics found no wrongdoing and voted unanimously to dismiss the case. I look forward to this same outcome from all impending investigations. And I am under no illusion that these right-wing organizations will stop politicizing and pursuing efforts to attack me and the work the people of St. Louis sent me to Congress to do, to lead boldly, to legislate change my constituents can feel, and to save lives.
So obviously she didn't take any questions. You notice her language was there a little bit different. When she was speaking a couple years ago, she was screaming at all of us to suck it up, America. You don't need the police. Now she's like, well, you know, everything's above board. And maybe it is. Maybe the DOJ is as corrupt as we think it is, and they're rigging this one too. But time will tell. We'll see if she gets indicted or what the backstory is. Democrats don't really want to touch it. This guy got asked about this today right after the news broke, says, you know, we think it's her now. Do you have any response to this?
Sir, do you have any comment on the reports that Congresswoman Cori Bush is under federal investigation?
I don't have any comments on that. That's something for the Justice Department. I know what you guys have put out and tweeted. That's all I have. I don't have any more.
So you haven't spoken, no one from leadership that you're aware of has spoken to Congresswoman Bush in the past day or so?
No one from leadership?
I haven't talked to her.
Okay, so they talk about some other things, but he is not talking to her, spoken to her about it. I'm sure they're going to rally around her and support her. Also got asked about this. John Kirby and Olivia Dalton were gaggling aboard Air Force One. Joe Biden was doing some campaign stops today after 3 American soldiers were killed. And this is what they said when asked about Cori Bush.
Decision with this trip today to go to particularly Jupiter, which is kind of one of the hearts of Florida, Trump country, and that Trump has a golf course there. Is the president taking, I don't know, maybe a little pleasure in tweaking the former president a little bit about going into his home turf?
I can't speak too much in depth to these campaign events since I wasn't involved in planning them or putting them together, so I'd refer you to the campaign there. I just don't want to get too close to crossing the hijacked line here.
But has the president told you, have you spoken to the president about these stops, and has he said anything about whether he plans to say something about Trump?
I would leave it to the president to speak to this. I cannot, as a federal official, speak about campaign events, unfortunately.
And there are reports that a House Democrat is being investigated by the DOJ. Any White House comment or reaction? There's a House Democrat being investigated by the DOJ. Conflicting reports on who exactly. Has the White House been following this? Any comment or reaction? I think it's Cori Bush.
We're seeing the same news that you are, but certainly on anything related to a DOJ investigation would refer you to them as they're independent in this respect.
All right, so nothing out of the White House. Cori Bush admitting, yeah, it's me. We're going to see if the DOJ turns up anything interesting, because the Menendez Egypt gold bar saga is still ongoing as well. And will Cori Bush be indicted? Only time will tell. We'll see what happens, my friends. Thank you for joining us as we continue to cover this saga and more by subscribing wherever it is you're watching this and by checking out robertgovea.com. Links are down in the description below. We've got our daily newsletter there, so all of our segments are summarized and sent over to your inbox so you can forward it to everyone you've ever met in your entire life. They'll love you for it. And it's a great way to share the show and to stay apprised of all the latest happenings. Thank you for watching, my friends. We'll see you back here on the next one.